go. Okay, guys, so we're not going to wait any further. Please keep introducing yourselves so we know who's in the room. And if you're not here for the first time, if it's not your first meetup, you probably already know the drill. It's fairly informal. So there is always space for everyone to ask questions, and you can shoot your questions in the chat, or you can just unmute yourselves and actually ask your question. I would prefer if you just ask your question, because then I don't have to read your question. So that's, that's you being nice to me. So, which I really do appreciate. Anyway, so 1 second, I'm just gonna also bring here Ben, because we've got a guest for today. And yeah, Ben, I've just unmuted you. Let me just, yeah, let me just show you here. Okay. Hi guys, this is Ben. Yeah, you're like now a big screen. Okay. So yeah, I'm actually really happy that we have Ben because he is not necessarily from 3D art industry, but he works with a whole variety of creatives, which is very exciting. And I think it's really amazing that we can learn, kind of across industry, not only from our little bubble, not little, but bubble, but also kind of, bring external knowledge is really, I think it's really healthy. So I think it will be fair to assume that for Ben, it's the first time seeing so many 3D artists in the same room. So please be nice to him. I'm sure you can. Okay, Ben, can you actually introduce yourself? I'm sure you can do it better than me.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for that. And by the way, I'm really, really grateful to be invited here today. And it is really exciting. I'm not a 3D artist, so it's really interesting to have this opportunity to speak with you. So I'm the co-founder of Beloudr, and Beloudr is a creator community that I help build, where basically artists, creators, people, on social media can come together to support one another and basically get their content shared, share it wider, and basically reach new audiences. So it's a kind of a new idea that kind of came from some of my own experience. So my background in of itself is that I'm kind of been in marketing and social media for quite a few years now, working at companies and doing their social media. But my main experience actually comes from working and building my own kind of very different space, sadly not in the art space, but in creating a food blog and an Instagram account for that. And that's now grown to 30K followers. And so I've learned kind of a lot from that process. Tried out lots of these different hacks, lots of different tips. But the main thing I found in that process was that if I can get my content shared by other people and get it shared, is the best way to reach new people. And that was absolutely one of the fastest ways that I was able to grow that account. So obviously I went around thinking, oh, how can I get my content shared by more people? And there's no real way out there. So that's kind of what really drew me and the co-founder and the team that I built Beloudr with to kind of create that. And really the whole idea is that there's so many tiny, small artists or creators who are so talented and are making absolutely amazing stuff and sharing it on social media, but they're just not, they're not getting tons of reach. They're not reaching loads of people. And hopefully I'll be able to share some tips and things that I've learned myself with you over the course of the next hour. But for me, the big one was, how do we create a community for creators who can support one another by sharing their content? And that's really what Beloudr was all about. So yeah, I think we can talk about social media today. I think specifically Instagram was the topic.
Yeah.
But some of these things you can apply more broadly to social media. And hopefully we can give you some tips to help build a bigger online presence for you guys as well.
Cool. That's awesome, Ben. So guys, if you want to go ahead and start with your questions, I mean, we can do that. But I think, kind of the one of the biggest questions that that, you know, like everyone is probably having, is like what's working and what's not working. I don't know, maybe we can just like start with a little bit roundup. I'm gonna be also probably participating in the conversation, but if you guys like ready to ask very specific questions or even like generic questions like social media or Instagram related, we can start with yours as well. But you know, so do we have any questions already, or do you guys want to do a little bit of a roundup first? Okay, let's do roundup. Okay, let's do roundup. So yeah, Ben, what do you think is, you know, like a really like kind of a good ideas for 2021 Instagrams, like in general, and artistic and like creative Instagram specifically? Like maybe we can start with a little bit with that.
Yeah, sure. I would say just, one of the first things about approaching all of this is, to me, the way I always break it down is to kind of focus on the idea of, so this is really high level advice, but to focus on the social and the media aspect. And if you can get both of those two things right, I think you're kind of on a winning strategy. The first is the media, and, there's some really obvious stuff in there around, making this, high quality content and really focusing on what you think people might like, and that builds itself into having this kind of beautiful aesthetic speed and planning all of this. So that I think there's a bunch of stuff there, and I think probably we can go into some of it as well later. And then the second kind of high level thing would be the social. This is social media, so you have to be social. You have to kind of think about it. It sounds painfully obvious when you say it like that, but I do think it's, if you can kind of just come with that understanding, it really helps. And so it really is about engaging. It's about kind of collaborating with other creators, collaborating with other artists, working, getting your commenting, sharing, all of this stuff. So that's kind of like really high level, and can definitely go into way more detail on all of that.
I definitely agree. I definitely agree. It's like keeping social in social media is probably one of the best tips that you can get, because I think it's like the mistake that I'm going to bring myself here as well so that you're not alone.
Yeah, thank you.
No problem. So I think it's a mistake that many people are making, is just like throwing the content there and like never interacting with anyone else's content. But actually the AI is way smarter than we sometimes assume. So the machine actually sees when you're interacting with other people content as well, and it rewards you for being the social person within social media. So that is something to to keep in mind. And the other question I had, just like Instagram is changing a lot now, and I think everybody should be aware that it's the Instagram of I don't know, like 5 years ago is not the same beast, and it has different rules. And especially like this year, maybe you can talk a little bit about like the most recent changes, because there have been like dramatic changes. It's different from like region to region, because certain features have been released in certain areas. I mean, probably that's too much detail, but anyway, maybe we can talk a little bit about like the most recent updates and what's on.
Yeah, no, you're completely right. Instagram is changing more and more, and I think one of the things I really hear is people are getting so frustrated because it feels like it's become this science, that you kind of have to, like, you're cracking all these codes, and there's the algorithm, and how do you understand that? And I think the truth is you can't fully ever understand it. It's made almost deliberately that way. But in terms of kind of what, let's say, big right now, obviously at the end of last year, there was a really big Instagram update where quite a few things started to change, we noticed in November. So the main one obviously is Instagram Reels. Now they started to roll that out in different places in the world first, so some people got an early advantage on that one. Obviously, Instagram Reels, for anyone who doesn't know, is basically Instagram copying TikTok. It's short 30-second videos, really kind of engaging content, really to kind of get you in. So I think the big thing is that just, go out there and start making Reels, figure out what people in your community are doing with Reels first, I think. But just go out there and start making them, because I've seen small artists with hundreds of followers. I've seen one or two of them get 1 million views with a reel. So it really is this thing that kind of can catapult you at the moment. And whether that's because Instagram's deciding it wants to promote Reels, and you can take advantage of that, just, go for it. I think it could be a really useful thing for you. It's also an opportunity to make kind of new and different content as well, because if you're just posting stuff to your feed, it's probably photos. So Reels gives you this
images. Yeah.
It gives you this whole new style to go for with music in the background and everything. Another big one would be, there's this idea of Instagram SEO. So that SEO would be search engine optimization. Instagram has been very bad for years and years when it comes to search. You'd have to search accounts or hashtags. They've now broadened that out, so you can theoretically search whatever you want. You go in there and search digital artist, then it will. Can't say I know how it's doing it, but it's not just searching hashtags anymore. It's searching lots of different things, maybe information in your bio, information in your caption. So you really want to think more than just hashtags these days. You want to think, what am I writing in my caption? Is it relevant? Please write things in your caption. I've seen people who don't include any information there.
Yes, please. This is also, like my personal plea to this community, guys. I know how much work goes, when Ben here in this meetup is representing, the Instagram, I'll be representing our community. And please, everyone, write something, write the name of concept artist, write your name, write the story of your character or the story of the scene or the piece. Just explain something. It helps AI. It just helps not only people, it helps everyone. It helps you eventually. So please just not only include one hashtag or just whip. Thank you. I see that's whip, but just, it still took you ages to make this whip.
So, yeah, that's the thing. And I think there's a real lesson in social media where, my understanding is with 3D art, you said it takes hours, days, it sounds like it takes a lot of
months. Sorry, Ben, months. It does take months.
My guess is if you're spending that long, just spend 10 minutes writing out a nice caption, like we just said, a bit of information on what it is you did, maybe some keywords that you'd want it to be searched about, that would help.
Like environment art, stylized details, realism, whatever. Yeah,
even if it's just for people, even if you're thinking about writing it for another person and what they would, how as a non-artist, what would help them understand it and connect with it. These things can be really good, really powerful,
I think this is a great actually thing that you mentioned about the Instagram search and everything. I think it's amazing for us as artists, because that means that actually we have more exposure and potentially you can be searched for as an artist on Instagram by your name, by your piece, maybe the name of that epic work that you once released. So this is amazing. It just doesn't really die there, hopefully. So we'll see how it plays out. Yeah.
The other final one I'd mention, just really quickly, because I think it was a little bit controversial when it happened, and I can completely see why, is Instagram kind of moved their shop feature to make it much more prominent. Now, that you can see that as a negative thing, obviously, if you're using it as a consumer. But if you're an artist, and I don't know, it'll be different for different people. But if you were selling things, if you have a Redbubble or an Etsy or your own online store, actually, that is it's a benefit for you, and definitely something that you should look into, because it could well help.
I'll translate it to our community. That means that your Patreon, your Gumroad, your My Mini Factory, your ArtStation assets or tutorials or whatever. So all of that can be linked to your account. So there's also a huge opportunity if you create something that can be sold, that can be promoted also on your Instagram. So take note.
Yeah.
This is really cool.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I'll give actually one final tip to build on top of your first point. Reels, Instagram Reels. And I think you mentioned that research what other people are doing, and I'm going to give everyone a tip on how to research what everybody else is doing. Go to your TikTok. If you don't have TikTok, download the bloody TikTok. Everybody who's here in their 30s will absolutely be disgusted with this idea. Everybody who's in their 20s, of course, definitely have TikTok. Anyway, download TikTok, and in the search bar, type 3D character art or whatever, ZBrush, Blender, and you will see a bunch of stuff on TikTok that's already been created, and it's kind of a Reels format. And if you see the same that I see, which is very unlikely because AI shows different content, you'll probably see stuff like time lapses and 360s, and so things like that. I mean, it doesn't mean that you have to be like creating something special. I mean, it's just like a time lapse. So just for example, but you will see what kind of what we mean when we say like real friendly content. So it's just that. Okay, Ben, we've been talking for a long time. We have a few questions here. Morgan, do you want to ask your question or?
Sure.
Okay, where are you, Morgan?
Hi.
Wait, I'm just like.
I don't have my video on.
Okay, fine. That's why I don't see you. But anyway, I'm gonna bring you up. Okay.
Thank you, by the way, for coming and speaking with us about Instagram tips and tricks. I just wanted to get your opinion on the best way to be consistent with your posts. Do you recommend a set schedule during the week? I know a great example is Loish. She has, I think she posts 3 times a week, and she always has like Patreon and then a whip and then a final piece. So I'd love to hear your opinion.
Yeah, that's a good question. It's also a very common one around, I think, the consistency, because I'm gonna give an answer right now, and the answer could be a little bit hard for some people. Is I would say if you can create a consistent schedule, aim to be posting a few times a week at least, then that and something that you can stick to that feels sustainable. If you say I'm going to post 10 times a week, and you can do it the first week, but then week 2 to week 3 there's no chance because you're sort of burnt out, that is not a good schedule to stick to. So think about what's actually going to be realistic, first of all. But yeah, I think for me, what's kind of worked well has been posting 4 or 5 times a week. I wouldn't say there's a golden rule, but every time you post, that's when you get your most traction. I'd say your kind of Instagram half-life on a post can often just be 1 day. If it's successful, you can continue to get more and more and more reach over time, but often a post might only last a day, so it'll give you a bit of a bump. So 4 or 5 times a week, if that's possible for you. And then obviously when it comes to art, the art community, I won't say to be an expert. Certainly producing 4 or 5 pieces of art a week sounds to me quite hard, so that might be difficult. So yeah, you might want to look at what other things you can post. Certainly if you're a brand, the advice I'd give is you want to be, like you just mentioned, Morgan, posting sort of different types of content, maybe something that's promoting your Patreon, if that's something you have, and drawing attention there. Something promoting your own artwork. Don't be too heavily promotional. You want to scatter those things throughout different posts. Yeah.
But I would agree, it's just, it doesn't have to be only like art. I mean, also, as I'm again, like representing community, I'd say that the easiest maybe way is to talk about breakdowns and whips and show a little bit of your process, but also go into detail. I mean, sometimes what I see frequently happening is that, there is one character once a month, maybe like once in 2 months, but then there is only one post dedicated to that character. So you could definitely zoom in. So
definitely, yeah, you can definitely get more than one post from one piece of artwork. Think about more than just posts as well. Stories, obviously that's there for 24 hours. It can good for that sort of behind the scenes type stuff, things in process, conversations with your audience. Again, reels could be an interesting way of just doing something a bit more engaging with that post, whether it's like filming your iPad or whatever it is that you've created it on, with a bit of music. So you can definitely get, kind of think about how you can sort of extract more from that artwork that you're making.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Thanks, Morgan. I'm good. Milton, can you ask your question, or there is a weird question, but what is your opinion or insight into the likes counter feature? I've read somewhere that in some regions, Instagram had disabled this. So watching the likes from posts was no longer possible. Not sure this is true, but regardless, would this be a step in the right direction?
So I think it was last year they were experimenting or testing with taking away likes. I think it was in Australia and America, if I remember rightly. Likes never ever disappeared for me personally. I have no idea why. Based in the UK. I think that, the reason they were doing it or claiming they were doing it was that people obviously feel a lot of pressure when it comes to likes. And again, if you're putting out your content and you're like, oh my goodness, this is, I've spent a month on this, and, you get 2 likes for it, that's going to be really disheartening for you. So I think there's a lot of pressure there. Whether it's the right step or not, I mean, I think the philosophy is don't over obsess over likes. You should have a passion for what you do. You should believe in it, and you should look, to engage in comments and look to grow as well, with the support of a community, not just
Sure.
on likes. Because, at the end of the day, if that's what you really care about, you can go out there and buy likes. You can kind of, there's tactics to kind of grow likes, without it really having a meaning behind it. So you really want to build a community, and I think a community is more than just likes.
Yeah, actually, there is somebody who's in the comments, Tivanucci. Yes, in Canada there are no likes, so so somebody's like actively experiencing. Okay, actually, I wanted to build up with an interesting piece of research I came across on fresh updates on Instagram algorithm. Basically, in 2021, Instagram figured out that it takes less than half of a second for a person to leave a like, and it's actually done quite meaninglessly. So in 2021, things that are kind of with this new update that I think was released in November, as you mentioned, by ranking features that are important, that give you kind of a reward from AI, are saves of your post, DMs, comments, and then likes. So in this order. Saves, DMs, comments, likes. Okay, yeah. Because saves will make the person come back to the platform. Basically, this whole thing is because Instagram obviously wants to keep your community together with you on the platform, so that Instagram could advertise to them. So it's important that they take more time than just half a second for like.
And that is 100% why you shouldn't stress too much about likes, whether they are visible or not visible to you, because it isn't actually, when I'm looking at my analytics on a post, I do care more about seeing the number of shares or saves on that. That is, to me, the kind of the top level thing, like you're saying.
Yeah. Okay, there is a next question from Pete. Is it better to post Finnish artwork pieces on the feed, or should we post whips also? Oh, I guess we answered, right? Just like, whatever. Yeah.
If you're going for a really polished aesthetic feed, then you might just want to do the finished artwork. But I personally think if you try and get out more content, you can have maybe a separate, if you want a portfolio type thing, there are other things available. I think like ArtStation and Behance and all of these in the art community, where you could perhaps have more polished portfolio. But for Instagram, I think focus on getting a bit more content out there as well.
Yeah, agree. I think it goes together with keeping the social
exactly.
media. Yeah, because you just kind of show up as a human being. You're an artist. Exactly. You don't just like you don't just like poop your amazing artwork.
Be a human being. I think that's
Okay, next one, Enrique. How would you go about planning content? I find it hard to keep momentum and consistency when maintaining my feed updated. Woof, hard for artists. But yeah, let's try.
I think what we just said then hopefully gives a little bit of help to you around posting whips, posting things that, not are just the finished product. It really depends on how much artwork you can produce in a month. I will be honest, I don't know. For me, obviously, with my food blog, which I mentioned, I personally know, and I found the right balance where I started out posting 7 days a week. That obviously took up a lot of time in the creation of those photos. And it meant I wasn't giving enough time to the social side, which was also really important if I wanted to grow. So for me, I found this good balance between, if I post 4 times a week, I can then make sure I'm spending some time in the social aspect as well. So I'm not just producing the content, I'm dedicating some time to the social element. So again, it's sort of what works for you. I would say aiming for that, that kind of number where you're getting a bit of a boost every few days from a post. But then also spending time commenting and engaging with people throughout the week as well.
Actually, there is a follow-up question also from Enrique. So when keeping that momentum, how would stories work or differ from posts? Okay,
Okay.
good question.
I would say, I think stories, it depends how much of you want to share, how much of the behind the scenes sort of stuff you want to share. You could use stories as a way for people to connect with you as a person, so they get to know the artist, or maybe so that you can show your kind of work in progress. Or I see it used really well, people using it for polls and, asking questions and all of this, really as a really amazing, I think it's the best tool actually Instagram have for having good, engaging with people who follow you. So I would kind of, and I also would say as well, so stories, I would say, use them in some of the ways I've just mentioned. But as a little tip, what I've noticed is when I add things that have that engagement level on the story, so whether it's a poll, whether it's, ask me a question, all of these kind of things, typically what I'll notice is the views on a story go up. So Instagram's sort of seeing, people are engaging with it, they're not sort of mindlessly skipping through, which is kind of how I tend to view my stories. I'm just like going through them very quickly. They're spending a bit more time in engaging. And I think the algorithm kind of recognizes that. And it sort of rewards you by showing that story to more people. So that's a way to maybe use your story to get a bit more of a boost for you as well.
Yeah, I actually here also wanted to share a little bit of more of a tactic that you guys, all of you can use 100%. So just ask a question. So for example, if you want to learn, a good account to learn from is Rafa Grassetti. I'm sure you know, but like just pay attention how he builds stories. Really smart, not only stories, but like the posts as well. So like guess the character, or what's my next character, or like dim the character, like just like blur him and just like, what's that, whatever. It's just a way of keeping the conversation about your work going. And just showing part of the artwork and asking a question about it. So something like that. And I really liked, actually, I think that was Pitt's post recently. Ask people to help you, like pink or blue hair. I think that's really good.
Yeah.
And that's a way to keep engagement also there and keep the social in social media. I'm sure it can be also useful for you. So just like also look at other accounts and see what people are doing, and especially big accounts, and just you will see a few really good ideas. So you don't have to be sharing your cat. I mean you can, right?
You can. Just a cute cat.
Yeah.
But actually, there's a good advice there was, we probably all follow big people in our niche on social media, but follow them and actually look at what they're doing. Pay attention to like how they're using their story, how are they posting, what are they writing in their captions, what hashtags, how are they presenting themselves in their bio, what are they linking to? All of these things are kind of clues that you can use yourself as well. And it's a really obvious one, look at people who are successful and kind of copy them, but it is.
Yeah, but I mean, like, there's nothing wrong about it, absolutely. And it's just like, I think we sometimes think that, oh my God, I'm not going to copy because he's already doing it, or somebody's already doing it, I'm going to come up with my own amazing thing. My God. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna read. Oh no, Nils, can you ask your question actually, or your two questions?
Yeah. So
give me a second, I'll find you. Oh my God, Nils, where are you? Oh yeah, here you are. Sorry. Thank you. Yeah. That was helpful. Okay. Hi, Nils.
Hi. So yeah, I'm quite new to Instagram, I guess. I've had it for a lot of years, but I've not really used it, I guess. Until now, I'm trying to get a little bit in the game. But one thing I noticed that kind of alarmed me, I guess. I don't know if you have like great knowledge of this or not, but when I started the posting, like this week and the weeks before, Instagram kind of tried to get me to make like a more of a commercialized account.
Like Instagram business?
Yeah, and they tried to like say that if you if you do this, then you will get more exposure, basically. That's what I got from it. Maybe I'm interpreting that a little bit wrong, but it felt like it was, I started thinking maybe it was like a barrier on like, it's not really a unique to Instagram, because a lot of different sites have these kind of things. ArtStation has it, but that I needed to pay to get more exposure, like in general. But do you think there is ways to, for me, for example, I'm a freelancer, a newly kind of established freelancer, so I don't have that much money to throw around in a way. So
Okay.
yeah, do you think like there is a huge possibility to try to avoid having to pay fines to get exposure?
Good question. Yeah, let's get it answered.
I think this question is a really important one. There's two bits to it, I think. First of all, Instagram business account, you should get it. If you're on a personal Instagram account right now, the benefit for anyone who doesn't know, Instagram business account means you get access to analytics. So you can see what your audience looks like, how many people your posts are reaching. There's really kind of powerful data in there that can actually improve.
But it's free.
And it's free. It's completely free. You just change it, and then you can start seeing the analytics on your posts. So yeah, I think that's great. 100% you should do that if you're serious about growing on Instagram. That'd be my opinion on that one. The second is, and I see this a lot, and it kind of breaks my heart a little bit, but I also know why people are doing it, which is why it's even more painful, is the point you just made around promoting posts. And I think what has happened over the years is that, if you joined Instagram 10 years ago, probably, you'd have thousands of followers by now, because it was much easier to grow back then. But nowadays, to be honest, it's not easy to get your posts seen. And what I see a lot of people doing, and again, I'm not blaming anyone for this, is that they notice their posts aren't being seen by many people. Instagram then makes it very easy for them to promote their posts. So then they pay to promote them. And it's sort of, I just sort of see it lining the pockets a little bit of Instagram. Because, the truth is, obviously, people are making amazing artwork that, if only were they able to reach the right audiences, they would be able to do it. And Instagram's kind of, the algorithm, let's say, is maybe preventing that. Now, this is kind of part of why I created Beloudr, because the idea of sharing kind of gets beyond a little bit of that. I would say try and avoid promoting your posts if possible, unless you're sort of, although, if you're a business and you're looking for freelance work, then there is obviously an incentive there. Like as any business, you'd be looking to maybe generate income. And if you can, if that is a way to reach people, then it could be quite impactful and useful for your business to do that. I don't necessarily know if it's the best way, because you'd have to be very careful about the audience you're targeting.
Okay, I can comment on this bit. Don't do this. Don't do this. That's actually why we're doing this meetup. Guys, do not promote your posts. Do not spend money on Instagram paying like $5, $10. I've also seen this. It also breaks my heart. I cry a little bit. Please do not do this, because like you'll get a few likes, you'll get like saves, but you just also lose $5.
Yeah. So, yeah. Well, from my business background here, so I do social media with proper companies. The best advice I've had with promoting on social media is you have to spend a lot of money to make it work. And I don't mean £5, £10. We're talking about hundreds and thousands to like really have that kind of impact. And often you're using it to drive them to your website where they're going to buy something, or your Shopify, or you're using it to mostly generate money. So if you're not doing that and you're just trying to get a few extra likes on your posts, I wouldn't recommend it. 100%. You should try everything. That should be your last, or just never do it.
No, just never. No. It's not, I mean, like, it's not for our niche. Just like, I mean, promoting posts, because if you had something to sell, I mean, if you were selling t-shirts, like you would, but also not just to promote the post, just boosting a post. And like I'm a marketer myself. I'm a business background, so it's just like an easy way for Instagram to make a few extra on our ignorance. So just you know, create amazing content. You are great at creating amazing content. And this is like, you know, to you, Niels, because I know your work, but also to everyone here. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of a, Niels, do you have another question?
Yeah, this one is also a little bit more tailored, I guess, towards maybe a little more tailored towards 3D art or art in general, I guess. But usually what I've noticed is that you have this like big Instagram channels, I guess, that like 80 LV or level
Yeah.
80, I don't, yeah, something like that.
Yeah, 80
where
level.
yeah, and I see that when you can tag them, I guess, and people who can look at the tagged things. But I don't know if how much exposure does that get you, because I feel like you kind of hit the honeypot when you kind of get picked up by them in a way.
Yeah.
But if you just tag, you're just in an ocean of endless content in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say
So
that,
Yeah, so basically, Ben, for you know, for you, I'm sure there's an easy parallel actually in every industry. So yeah, so we've got like big accounts that will be, I don't know, like magazines or software or whatever. Like everybody likes tagging Pixelogic, everybody likes tagging Marmoset, everybody likes tagging 80 level. For some reason, people tag Art Heroes. Like, but yeah, I mean, like I'm grateful. I've got nothing to do. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, like what do you think about that? What happens, Ben?
okay, so again, my experience in the sort of food Instagram, if you like, and with food blog. So I'd call them shout out accounts. You might call them different things. So there obviously are accounts out there that will exclusively, you tag them, they see your content, they like it, they post it on their feed, they grow from, they don't have to produce any content, right? They just post other people's, and you then get some exposure. So it can be mixed, I'd say go for it. You want to find the right kind of ones. Don't just, you know, if art heroes don't repost, maybe don't tag them. Oh no, do if you're interested in it as well. But find the right ones. And I think it can be really useful in the food space with the account that I had. Some of the better accounts, my content was reposted by accounts of maybe like 1 or 2 million. I would see then 100, 200 followers in one day. So it can have a massive impact, but I'd say it's a little bit like the lottery. If you want to get reposted by a big account, it's probably not going to happen to you very often if you're not, unless your content is absolutely amazing. Probably not going to happen to you very often, but if it does, you'll see a big boost from it. So it's sort of worth, what's the harm of like tagging someone in a photo? It's not that hard. I'd say just find the right ones though. Make sure they're reposting, make sure they're active, make sure that if your content was on their feed, you'd feel comfortable from it as well.
Yeah. I'd also say, like don't just tag in every single post you produce, because then your actual good post will be ignored.
Yeah.
So if you tag a certain account on every single whip that you post, that's just like next time you actually produce something that worth attention will be somehow, I mean, it's just like, you've tagged us like 5 million times. So like, yeah, I mean, when there is something and you actually made it with Marmoset, you actually made it with 3D scan store assets, you actually used whatever, like Blender, then yeah, why not? I think it's like, yeah, maybe also mention in the comment, like not in the comment, like in the, oh my God. Yeah, exactly. So why you're actually tagging us? I mean, I can say for example, from my experience of running Art Heroes community and Art Heroes Academy. So we always like follow all of our students and we post like their final projects and yeah, maybe not immediately, but yeah, I like when we're tagged because I can see that. So this is helpful. I mean, it's actually helpful. But if it has nothing to do, I actually delete the tag.
Can I ask something regarding this?
Sure, go ahead. Estelle, right?
Yeah. I mean, there are some shout out channel that repost work, even if they're not like magazines and stuff.
Yeah.
Do you think it's worth the shot to maybe DM them to ask them if they would repost your final post? Is that something you can do, you should do?
Yeah, I think tag them, engage, comment, like, all of that kind of stuff, so that they can see you're kind of an engaged person. The one thing I guess I'd be cautious. I think maybe there's, if you're writing something that's kind of nice and personalized, or your account's great, I'd love it. You're not spamming them or anything like that, then I think that could be quite nice. If I was in that position, it'd be quite nice to receive that. I'd say there are some big accounts out there that might try and charge you for it, so you might want to just have that as a kind of back of your mind. You don't necessarily want to be paying to get featured or anything. But I think yeah, like start by commenting and liking and showing that you're just there, often in the comments. Do that as a first step, and then maybe kind of reach out by DM, so it's a bit more natural.
Yeah, I also think there is nothing bad in like reaching out. Yeah, just like yeah, it's okay. Cool, guys. We're covered, right? Thanks. I'm gonna bring somebody else. Anyone wants to ask a question? I see there is a bunch of questions, so I'm just like a little bit lost here. Okay, so I'm gonna read a question from Max Caster. Okay, in what part of the day is it better to post? Publish like morning, night, whatever. We can pick up analytics again, right?
Yeah, I would say there's not a right time. What you should do is look at your analytics, see when people are on. So once you've got your Instagram business account, you get the analytics, you can see what days and what times your followers are online. If you can see a clear time that seems higher than other times, then that would probably indicate it would be quite useful. You should just think just logically, if you're based in America and you're posting in the middle of the night, then probably many people are going to be asleep. So there's not a lot of people to reach you. Equally for my food account that I run, I do have a lot of American followers. So posting with those people in mind is often quite a smart thing to do. So posting in the night in that case is often a good choice. Posting in the evening, sorry. So I'd say, yeah, definitely. I would say there's no right answer necessarily, but thinking about when people are online through your analytics is probably the best way to do it.
Right. Cool. Heather, there's a question from Heather. At what stage of your art journey do you start to post your work? I have only learned ZBrush for 1 year, but I don't feel confident at all to post, and it feels stressed to post. Actually, like I'll be curious, about like everybody in the room. Can anyone answer like when did you guys start posting? And you can type your question in the chat. I'm just like curious about everyone. Or maybe unmute yourselves and just like share, when did you guys start posting? Like how long after you even picked up a pen? Or like what happened with your account? Can you get anyone to share their experience? I don't know. Go for it.
Can I say
sure,
something?
Wasim, yeah, of course. Let me just
Hey everyone. Regarding this, because with Instagram, being an artist myself, and I also learned 3D recently, there's a lot of insecurity that comes with it, because when you first start, you're very insecure about your art, and posting things that are unfinished, it's basically self-reflect. Because it's unfinished, you think it's not worthy. But the thing is that people who don't know 3D are actually very mesmerized by the work that's done, even if it's little. Though myself, after 2 years of studying 3D, I still post the final image, because I'm a perfectionist from one side, so I want everything to be perfect in my posts. But after hearing this, I'm gonna definitely start posting webs, even though they're not finished. But the thing is, another questions come from this one, is when you post, for example, let's say you're doing one stylized character. Do you post one photo per feed, like several photos where you slide, or just one photo and then the second day another photo? How does this work? Because at the same time, I personally don't want to fill my feed with like whips until I get the final.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean, actually. I think there's several questions. Ben, maybe can you answer the part about like gallery as opposed to one post to start with?
Carousel, yeah.
Yeah, the carousel as opposed to like one.
Yeah, in terms of, let's think about algorithms and stuff, I've heard positives and negatives when it comes to carousels.
Yeah, me too. I'm confused, actually.
Yeah, I've heard people say, oh, you know, because people are swiping, it's sort of like, oh, you know, the algorithm's like, oh, it's engaging. But whenever I've tried it, and you know, I've seen a lot of people say, oh, actually, it makes no difference. So, you know, I think if you're adding value in each slide, then maybe, yeah, it's kind of, you know, if you're telling a sort of a story, maybe, you know, you're sort of swiping along with a story or showing different things, then it can be really good. I've seen in the art community, people often do a photo and then they'll zoom in on different parts. That's kind of interesting because you're kind of highlighting detail. So think about like why on earth anyone would want to slide to the second one, I think is always is a useful one. But you know, on your other point, yeah, if you have a feed and it's sort of like the same thing kind of repeated over and over, even if it's just kind of your work in progress coming up to your final one, just try and make it look a bit kind of interesting and kind of more aesthetic. So it's not, doesn't look like you're just repeating the content, because if I see that as a consumer, I'm probably less likely to follow you. So I'd say if you can kind of style it differently or just present it in a way that's kind of a bit more interesting, then I think it'll be more engaging for people.
Yeah. And meanwhile, I'm just going to read, I agree, actually. I'm going to read what people are saying about, you know, like how early we start posting. And yeah, there's just like such a variety. And I like this one, the more I learn, the less I post. So I think this is so true for everyone that like, and Morgan started posting within a few months of learning ZBrush, lacking confidence, but it's still good to get out there. And I still don't post as often as I should just because I don't have the confidence. Morgan, confidence? Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, if Morgan doesn't have confidence, I'm not sure. Yeah, and yeah, there's a bunch of people that started posting in their first month, 3 days into the sculpt. And yeah, some people that hate posting whips, which I totally understand, but yeah. Anyway, got a mix here. Great chat there. Wasim, did we answer the questions?
Yeah, yes, you did.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for coming again.
Can I ask something real quick?
Okay.
I'm stalking you guys. I'm never gonna miss anything.
Okay, amazing. Okay, so anyone else wants to ask questions, since I'm lost in the feed a little bit?
I want
yeah, go. Yeah, sure, of course.
Hi. I was the one who said the more
yes,
I learn,
I know.
the less I post.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, what's your name?
It's Thiago Vanucci.
Okay, Thiago. Sorry, because the nickname just
it's
okay.
T Vanucci. It's so weird.
Yeah, okay. Hi, Thiago.
So my question has to do with that, Kai, because I was in Instagram like a long time ago, since the beginning, and I used to post like life stuff. It was like my life stuff, but then my Instagram was just like my Facebook, a bunch of people with stuff that I didn't want to see. So I kind of just like deleted all of the, you know, like family and friends that I don't care and all this shit that I don't want to see.
Oh my God, I'm glad they're not hearing you.
I don't want to see your dog, you know, there's Facebook for that. So I'm like, I shifted towards like more professional and try to follow more artists. So I just see art all the time. And that's why I said, like, I kind of stopped posting. I'm like, okay, there's a lot of great people. I need to step up my game before I start doing that. But it's kind of double-edged sword, because you hurt yourself, right? Because you're not posting so much, and then you fall into that one post per year kind of thing. You know, it's like, oh, I worked 5 months on this thing for a damn post that gave me 40 likes, you know. So I have a question. I was like, I think it's, one comment is like, I think it's worth it for artists to keep posting the good whips, not all the whips. So you kind of force yourself to get real life feedback. You know, you're not showing it to your mom, you're showing to the internet. And so I think it's a good one. But my question is, do you have any data on how people unfollow accounts? Because the way I personally unfollow, and Grassetti is a great example because he's a beast, both as an artist and as a social guy, because he's always engaging you, like asking what kind of, plus the guy does like 70 characters a year. So it's like, all right. But I personally start unfollowing people when they get stuff like too political, you know, like everybody is a political expert these days. So I've unfollowed a bunch of artists because of that mostly. And when people start like posting too much of their lives, I'm like, dude, I don't care about your life. I care about your art. So do you have any data on
Yeah.
how people, should treating their Instagram as, as a professional, or like some people do Instagrams, they have the art one and
Yeah. I think, I think the actual question here is, part of your question, and actually I hear this a lot. Shall we mix professional and personal accounts? Yeah. And I hear this question, for example, a lot when there'd be, for example, you would have, I don't know, 500 followers on your personal account. And then you would be like, okay, shall I start a new account? Or shall I continue that account and mix my dog with my art?
Yeah.
So that kind of question. Actually, personally, I have never heard of any data about unfollowing. I mean, except the notion that like if you have like certain pattern. So for example, if you're, if you only post art, don't all over a sudden start posting your gym.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I feel.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's
people as an audience.
I have never heard of like, okay, sorry, I'm covering for Ben. Go, Ben, sorry.
Oh, there's a lot of sort of questions in there. I think actually, my initial thought is that you can tie a few of these together, because people are talking about not feeling confident about posting their art. But if you're posting as an artist, you could post anonymously, right? So then you can do, you could do that and then kind of feel a bit more confident and get feedback from people. And I think those things are really important. I would say, for me, when I'm thinking about an Instagram account, it's kind of like a brand, and you can make yourself part of a brand. I mean, look at so many influencers out there who basically do nothing other than just, they are their brand, right? All these lifestyle influencers. It's up to you if that is something that you want to do, whether you feel comfortable or not. But I would say that, try and just figure out what that looks like. If it's just, you want to present yourself as an artist and your work is the main thing, then, try and be consistent with that if you can. And kind of think about everything you're posting on story, feed, reel, make it kind of consistent to around that, so that you're not, there's not just like a random dog appearing and people are like, why is there a dog on this, on this person's account? If you're part of the story and part of the brand behind that account, then that's fair enough, because people can learn to connect with you.
Yeah, I can bring an example. I mean, basically an example about consistency. So if you're intentionally growing an account, just like make sure it's the same type of content that people will be coming back for. And I know, since, like I run Art Heroes podcast and I talk to a bunch of artists that are like work also in studios, and like specifically, a lot of artists that have big studio names. So they have different type of career, not freelancing career. They don't necessarily even have Instagram, especially if they're, the generation that started their career when Instagram did not exist. So for example, like I really like texture artist from Epic Games. I think he's in Epic Games now, Justin Holt. But in his Instagram account, it's him crossfitting. And sometimes like his art or like Epic Games and like what he textured, but he doesn't have any following because he doesn't do it. He doesn't post to consistently grow the account. I mean, he posts a lot, but it's just like so random. Like, just like
so it's kind of like, what kind of audience do you want to build? Do you want to build the audience for your art or for your CrossFit sessions?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Like
this type of thing. Yeah, exactly. But I don't think these two like mix together really well.
Yeah, me neither. I tend to unfollow when I see too much stuff that it's not the guy's work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Thank you guys. Thank you very much.
Cheers. Okay. So I think
Sorry, can I?
Sure. Go ahead.
Can I add something? Related with the matter of posting consistently. For example, like if I propose myself to post, let's say 3 times a week, but I reach a point that whatever I have to post new is much worse because it's work in progress or whatever than my latest post, right? So, or it's not enough good. It's better to post something that is not good enough, or it's better to not post it at all,
That's a really good question. And I'm actually like, guys, feel free to post your comments. I'll read some of them. Like, what do you think about like not posting at all? Ben, what do you think?
It's a good question. It's a
I
hard
know.
one to answer. I would say, if it just means you're posting one less time that week, I wouldn't say it's a huge, I would say don't sweat it. If all of a sudden 1 week you're posting twice instead of 3 times, and then you're kind of getting back onto that, I would say don't worry too much about that. Maybe expect to not grow as much that week potentially, but if you're also posting amazing stuff, then that's going to give you a bit of a boost. So I would say I would sort of tend towards, if you're really like, I have literally nothing to post, and I wouldn't feel happy with what I'm posting right now, and it's not, people, no one's going to like it, and all this kind of stuff, then I would, maybe you don't need to. I think the idea of putting out bad content, if you sort of really feel, unsure about it, then maybe it's not going to be hugely successful anyway. It's not going to get you lots of likes. So if the aim is, you focus on the objective, right? The objective is growing your account in this instance, and you're putting out content that isn't going to help that, then maybe you just want to post a little bit less, and it's okay. Next week you can sort of work on what's going to go up then, and the week after.
Yeah. There's a comment from Morgan that I 100% agree with. I was going to say exactly the same. Maybe instead throw an Instagram story and interact with your current followers instead of posting. Yeah. As of like, you will still be gratified by the algorithm in one way or another. Yeah. So maybe just do that. Yeah, I think that's a really cool way of looking at that. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Hi, sorry, can I say something?
Sure. Let me just see who's
Thank you. Sorry, I don't have the cam. Sorry.
Sure, no problem, Carlotta. Okay, let me. Thomas, thanks for asking. That was a great question. Hi, Carlotta.
Hi. I asked you the question before, but I don't know if you read it. So
I don't think so. Go ahead.
Okay. And is this important to create fan arts of films or cartoons? Because I have seen that many people follow you only for that rather than follow you for original content. And the second question is this important to focus on a particular topic, or can you focus on things in general? I mean, an example, for example, I like Advin Hotel, and I need to focus just on Advin Hotel with the fan arts, or you can do, I don't know, 3D characters of other things like movies, or I don't know. Excuse my rusty English.
No, you're great. You're great. So okay, cool. Ben, if you want, I can start. I think I've got a good answer for your first question, like whether you should be kind of creating only popular stuff or also the original stuff. Yes. So basically, and this is the discussion that we frequently have with like with a bunch of artists, even like on podcasts and stuff like that. So basically, from what the most recurring opinion that I hear, and again, like I can be right or wrong, but that just means that the majority of people that I speak to are right or wrong as well. There is always like a good mix of popular versus original. So popular will get attention, and you will get followed, for example, by people. For example, you create anime, let's say some like anime fan art or Marvel fan art. You'll get a little bit of attention from people who just like anime, or from just people who like Marvel. And then, like, if that's not really your passion, if your passion is, I don't know, something just completely nothing to do with superheroes, you can just, slide it after and show what you also work as, as yourself, which is also fine. But I think popular is a really good thing to bring on social, because you will get slightly different audience. And I can even bring the example, if you guys remember, we recently did we had the Jordan, a realistic Jordan released for our likeness course. Actually, Jordan was made intentionally, Michael Jordan, together with Pippen and oh oh my God, what's the third name? Anyway, don't hate me, I forgot the third name. So 3 famous basketball players, just because, you know, it's the popular topic. And there was a Netflix documentary, so there was all intentional. And, you know, it's just like, if we made just like someone who's not a media figure, that would just, I mean, that would be less noticeable on your feed. So it's part of it. That's what was the second question? If you should focus on one or another. I don't think so. I mean, it again depends on what you see, but Ben, like, you can if you got something to add about popular versus original.
I guess my 2 thoughts on that is, first of all, having a niche, you know, being more than just an artist and being an artist who does this content, you know, I think is useful. It's always good to define you, because I think at the end of the day, people who follow you, they don't really have a lot of information there. You know, if you think about who you follow on Instagram, you're sort of like, oh yeah, that's an anime artist, or, you know, that's a vegan food account. You know, it's just, you don't have a lot of information. So you sort of, your brain sort of categorizes in a really simple way. So if people can understand what you do clearly, I think it will help you, you know, if people can really clearly understand that. And then the second, you know, what Marissa's saying is, trends, you know, are really useful, especially if there's a trend in your niche, if it's in your space. So if you do anime art right now, obviously I would be making Attack on Titan art. That would feel like the obvious thing to be doing right now. You know, in the food space, you know, last year everyone was making sourdough bread, making
right, or just art challenge. Art challenges are useful.
Yeah, I just posted a link, not the link, but like the name of the account. I also had the Cheryl on the podcast, and she has, I think, over 60K followers. I don't know now, but that was, just over 60K. Basically, she creates this really cute anime characters in Blender. And she only does that. She only has this specific style. And the majority of her followers are like anime fans as well. So you can definitely build, just like take some inspiration, and so
you need to find your own art style.
So I mean that as well, but I don't think it has to be.
Thank you, Ben.
Okay, thanks. Okay, guys, I think we're almost over, but I'm gonna just keep one more question. Okay, who's there? Like, somebody started asking. You can go
no, sorry, I just had one quick one when it came to,
that's just perfect.
When you said about for example with Michael Jordan and Dennis Rodman, I guess, when
and Pippen.
When creating popular characters based on what's really popular now, one thing I kind of was a little bit confused about, I guess, when I noticed when Queen's Gambit came out, the Netflix series, and everybody made the art of the main character, everybody, and I felt like, isn't that going to drown out in a way, because everybody makes this distinct pose, you know, her sitting and thinking on chessboard and everything, and maybe that's too close to everybody doing the same thing. I don't know.
I mean, I don't, you know, there are 2 ways of looking at it, and you definitely see the same thing happening when Marvel releases a new movie or something like that. Everybody just makes whatever is popular. I think eventually it's about your own interpretation. So what do you think, Ben?
Yeah, I would say you're completely right. It reminded me, you know, when there was the Bernie Sanders meme, I saw that repeated by so many people, by so many artists. They made it in their own, but the thing is, they made it in their own style, you know, and I saw the people were posting it on Beloudr, and I was like, I was loving it, but I could see in each one there was a particular artistic style behind it, and that kind of that was their style that they were putting onto that particular popular piece of content. So put your own spin on that, I think, is, you know, but, you know, also don't feel pressured. You don't have to just do something because it's popular. I think making sure that you kind of believe and sort of love the stuff you're doing, and you're not just, you know, making something for just because you feel compelled to do it. I think, you know, connect with, you know, I think for me, art or any of this stuff with social media, you know, it should connect with your passion. It should be something you're passionate about doing. So, you know, if the Bernie Sanders meme, for example, is something that you enjoyed seeing, then yeah, make your own version of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Another, I'm sorry, I'm like probably flooding the this with unnecessary examples, but I think you could guys also check out, if you don't know him, Vimal Kerketa. I think in Instagram he's I'm just gonna type it here. I think he's Vim Kerk. So he is a good example of you know, following the trends. Yes, he's the beast. Yes, definitely, 100%. But you know, like he would always make his own version of like everything, and he's also pretty fast. But you know, it's just like I don't think it hurts his account in any case. So so yeah, so just like get some inspiration. And on the final note, I know we're over time, but Ben, I'm gonna ask you quickly, actually we didn't speak about this before, but maybe you can like explain what Beloudr does, and you know, just like since we have you here, like just basically what's the social you know, idea of Beloudr, and I'm happy to share a link to, you know, like so that people could connect with you and ask you more stuff.
Yeah, thanks for that. And by the way, everyone, thanks so much for the questions. I think there's some really interesting ones. You definitely made me think as well. So hopefully some of this will be useful to help you grow. But Beloudr, really, it's a creator community. The whole idea of it is that you can post your work there, but it's not posted on, it's not just like another social network account. It's really a place that people can find your work, whether it's on Instagram, Twitter, you know, wherever you're posting it. And you can work with other creators, you can connect with them, and they, you know, everyone will mutually share it. People come together to share one another's work. And, you know, as you pointed out earlier, shares are obviously one of the, you know, one of the most important signaling things for Instagram. If it's seeing lots of people sharing it, it's good for the algorithm. But it also means that, you know, if you have your work shared by another artist or another person on social media, then their audience is seeing it too. And so it's another opportunity to get your work seen. So I think that's kind of why shares are so important. And so on Beloudr, basically you put your content on there. It's a community really only for creators on social media. So we have a load of artists on there, and it was so exciting to see so many artists join. And so it's just a space to connect, get your work shared, share other people's work, and also get feedback, because I think there is probably the best people you can get feedback from as you're looking to grow online is other people who are doing exactly the same thing. You know, you might on your Instagram, if you're looking to reach hundreds and thousands of people, you might not necessarily want to use it as a feedback mechanism. Whereas on Beloudr, you know, the people who are there are other artists who are also looking to grow. So it's a good place to find people to collaborate with, to do competitions with, you know, and also to ask, you know, questions around, you know, okay, how did you do this? How did you, you know, what cameras are good? What drawing software is good? All of these kind of things that ultimately are going to kind of help your work.
Cool. Well, amazing, Ben. Thanks again so much. And I think also there is a list of resources, right?
Yeah. So I'm going to send, there's some things that came up, I think, today in our conversation, but there's also some other things that are quite useful tools that I've personally used along my journey on social media. And I think I just wanted to share them with you. But yeah, for anyone, if you want to check out Beloudr, just go to beloudr.com. It sounds like you'll share the link.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, I'm just gonna type link. Yeah, it's pretty fine.
Completely free to find.
Yeah, that's right. The guys, they're in startup phase. They're still free. They're not charging money. So they're not charging money either, but they're in the startup phase. So yeah. Anyway, just saying. Yeah. There's no upsell tonight. Yeah. So Ben actually prepared a list of resources that we're gonna send everyone tomorrow together with the recording. So thank you, Ben, so much for preparing this. And I'm just going to also use the opportunity to tell everyone that next week at Art Heroes, we're hosting a boot camp. So it would be great if you could guys attend. And yeah, it's also free. We're hosting Danko, who's going to be just, you know, teaching some stylized character stuff. So that's going to be cool too. And Yeah, and when is the session 2? Oh, well, session 2. Bryce is asking when is the session 2. We can do session 2. We were planning today on doing maybe a few Instagram account reviews. Today when we started the question with the session with questions, we were just chatting with Ben and maybe we can pull up a few accounts just to point out mistakes and things like that, but we obviously didn't have time for that. Yeah, maybe we can do session 2 sometime. Thanks for the idea, Bryce. Yeah. Okay, Pete says that would be amazing. Yes, okay, thank you, Pete. Yeah. Okay, guys, so Ben, do we have anything else?
No, nothing else.
Okay, cool. Okay, guys, you can unmute yourselves and say bye-bye. And we're just really grateful for all of you coming tonight for everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, ciao, guys.
Thank you. Really good.
Thank you.
Thank you.